seated, ladies. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to welcome you all to Doune Castle on this important day to celebrate the wedding of Judith and Doune. My name is Brian Hawkinson, I'm a celebrant of the Humanist Society of Scotland. And Judith and Donald have invited me to lead their ceremony today. I'm delighted to do so. They've chosen to give this ceremony as they feel that their ideals and beliefs are ethical rather than religious. Humanism is about concern for humanity and the natural world. Whilst we believe that every society needs a moral code if people are to live together in harmony, we believe that that morality comes from within us. And at its heart, it's about unselfishness, about kindness and consideration towards others, but accepting responsibility for our own lives and recognising our responsibility to the whole planet. And Judith and Donald want to confirm their commitment to each other with a ceremony composed especially for the occasion. And they've chosen the words and the readings and the music for their ceremony, and I hope it makes it a more personal and memorable occasion for you all. I would like to thank you all for supporting them and believing in their relationship, for which you believed the last 8 years. And I'd also like to thank you for making the journey here to celebrate the wedding. So, let's hear a whoop for those of you who have come from Ayrshire. From the Highlands. From Ireland. From Wales. Somebody from Russia. From the US and Canada. And there's even people from England. So, welcome to you all. So, you've all rehearsed. You all know where we're going. Can I get your orders of ceremony out, please? Because we're going to begin with a song. And we're going to start off by singing My Baby Just Cares for Me. So please, on your feet, ladies and gentlemen. My baby don't care for shows. My baby don't care for clothes. My baby just cares for me. My baby don't care for God's graces. My baby don't care for God's own graces. And even not satisfied, something he can't see. My baby don't care. My baby just cares for. My baby just cares for. My baby just cares for. Brilliant! When I first met a couple up to marry, and we met a good few months ago now, I asked them to do some homework for me. I asked me to tell us about, well, kind of how come we're here today, what's the story so far, and about their hopes and their wishes and their dreams for their marriage. So Judith and Donald first met when the legendary DJ Troutfish brought his friend Judith round to a barbecue in Donald's flat. Judith, in their excitement, dived head first into the barbecue. Literally. And Donald was instantly smitten by A, her agility, and B, her clear love of barbecued food. Judith's first impression of Donald was that he was uber cool. Was in with the right crowd, and guess what? He liked doing crazy and exciting things just like her. By fate, their paths were to cross again a number of times in the upcoming weeks, until eventually Donald plucked up the courage to ask Judith if she would accompany him to the cinema to see The Descent. Judith's hatred of horror films and her claustrophobia were soon evident. And so, to relieve the trauma somewhat, they decided to go to a small city centre nightclub named the Moon. Known more colloquially as that dive on Sauchiehall Hall Street where nobody goes. Upon entering the establishment, they instantly changed their minds and swiftly left. And as Judith said in her homework, and I quote, "He took me to the moon and back on our first date." And I think we just proved that it's definitely all right to go at a wedding, isn't it? They eventually settled in a local bar for the evening, shared some vodkas, and compared scars and birthmarks, as you do. It was a romantic first date, according to Judith. I hate to think what unromantic. Judith still hadn't decided if she actually wanted a boyfriend until one year in an epic trip to Estonia, Russia, and Poland, and she finally agreed to go out with him. They spent more and more time together until they became inseparable and decided to move in together. They soon had their firstborn, surprise well done, a black and white doggy named Oreo, and spent happy years in as a family. Together they were steadily becoming convinced that they wanted to spend the rest of their lives together. And then, in November 2012, Judith was offered work in Abu Dhabi. And so Donald rushed through with his proposal so that Judith wouldn't be tempted by any rich Arabian men who might woo her with camels. Thankfully, their time apart was only temporary, and in December 2013, Judith and Doune were once again reunited, this time to live happily ever after. So, I think this would be a good time for enough and more. I'm shortly going to ask Pamela Riddell to come up and to read The World by Carol Ann Duffy. Pamela is Judith's only female cousin and was born just 8 months after her, and the two are very close. Carol Ann Duffy is a Scottish poet and playwright, originally from the Gorbals in Glasgow, and was the first woman and first openly gay, or LGBT, to be appointed Britain's Poet Laureate. So Pamela, if you'd like to step forward.
On the other side of the world, you pass the moon to me. Like a loving cup or a quake, I roll you the sun. I go to bed as you're getting up on the other side of the world. You have scattered the stars towards me here, like seeds in the air. All through the night, I have sent you bunches, bouquets of clouds to the other side of the world. So my love will be shaped where you are and yours, as I turn in my sleep, the bud of a star.
Take your round of applause. Pamela, you're wonderful. Thank you. So let's return to our homework. I asked Judith what makes Donald so special, and she said that it's because he is always there for her and for his friends and family. It's because Donald is calmness, like a calm day at sea. Whenever waves occur, he is like a rock or a life raft in a storm. His response has always been calm, collected, mature, and completely admirable. And perhaps it's his big brain. From making music videos for MTV to writing an article for the British Journal of Cocaine. His ability to adapt and excel at everything is unique and wonderful. And then, he can cook, making incredible meals, bringing his creative thinking to every plate. Every day he prepares breakfast, lunch and dinner for us. Without him, she'd be eating pesto and pasta. But the real reason, I think, is because Donald's the hunger for life that with age is not diminished, which makes every day exciting, making plans and achieving all manner of things together. His hands grasp everything worth having in life. So what does Donald see in Judith, I wonder? Well, it's her enthusiasm, encouragement, and motivation. Whenever you think you're incapable of something, Judith will always tell you otherwise. Whenever your drive is waning, she'll refuel you and get you going again. There's her open mind and her crazy ideas. Whenever you think things have just settled down from the last insane adventure that Judith demanded that you go on, a new fascinating idea is already being spun out in her vast brain. There's her open acceptance of everyone and everything. Maybe it's because Judith doesn't know the meaning of the word discrimination. She believes everyone should be capable of everything and doesn't like hurdles. Perhaps it's her lovely bum. His words, not mine. Her cute wee smile. Her ability to fall asleep within the back of an eyelid, or the way her nose twitches when she talks. But personally, I think it's about her vivacity. Her lust for life is unparalleled. Judith wants to experience everything life has to offer. There's always excitement abounding when Judith is alive. And I think it would be a great point for ceremony to have another song. So can I ask you all please to be on your seat? This time we're going to sing Set You Free by Ed Travis.
Close to me.
Marriage means togetherness, through life's up and downs, always being there for each other. Life has its lows, but when we are together, it has always been more manageable. Life has its highs, and though we have been apart, experiencing life separately at times, we've always come together to share and enjoy each other's successes and highs. Marriage means our love will grow and extend the warmth in our hearts and in our home to share it with the other human beings and furry animals. Marriage means openness and honesty in all situations, including being true to each other and to our family, friends and community. Marriage means a new start, something pure and white. Today is a new anniversary, our new beginning together as the mid-50s, an opportunity for a fresh look at ourselves and being mindful together. Marriage means colour, not settling down, but continuing to take risks together, find new lands, new feelings and experiences. Marriage means strength and certainty in our intentions for being together in the future. Can I have a round of applause for that? That's another reading. I'm going to ask Fiona Moran to come forward and read from fantastic Mr. Fox, or Lord Doune. Fiona was born only 11 months after Donald, and although she is his cousin, he considers her much more of a sister. Roald Dahl requires no introduction, but in this excerpt from what Roald considered to be his best book, Mr. Fox, Badger, and the youngest of Mr. Fox's sons are running back to their families, having raided the storehouses of the bogus bunts and beans. So let's go. Fiona, take it away.
He grabbed their jars of cider and off he went. Mr. Fox was in front, the smallest fox came next, and Badger last. Along the tunnel he flew, past the turning that led to Bunce's mighty storehouse, past Box's chicken house number 1, and then up the long home stretch towards the place they knew Mrs. Fox would be waiting. "Keep it up, my darlings," shouted Mr. Fox. "We'll soon be there. Think of what's waiting for us at the other end. And just think what we're bringing home with us in these jars." That ought to cheer up poor Mrs. Fox. And Mr. Fox sang a little song as he ran. "Home again, swiftly I glide, back to my beautiful bride. She'll not be so rotten as soon as she's gotten some cider inside her inside." Then Badger joined in. "Oh, poor Mrs. Badger," he cried. "So hungry she very near died. But she'll not be so hollow if only she'll swallow some cider inside her inside." They were still singing as they rounded the final corner and burst in among the most wonderful and amazing sight any of them had ever seen. The feast was just beginning. A large dining room had been hollowed out of the earth, and in the middle of it, seated around a huge table, were no less than 29 hands. They were Mrs. Fox and 3 small foxes, Mrs. Badger and 3 small badgers, Mole and Mrs. Mole, and 4 small moles, Rabbit and Mrs. Rabbit, and 5 small rabbits, Weasel and Mrs. Weasel, and 6 small weasels. The table was covered with chickens and ducks and geese and hams and bacon, and everyone was tucking into the lovely food. "My darling," cried Mrs. Fox, jumping up and hugging Mr. Fox. "We couldn't wait. Please forgive us." Then she hugged the smallest fox of all, and Mrs. Badger hugged Badger, and everyone hugged everyone else. Amid shouts of joy, great jars of cider were placed upon the table, and Mr. Fox and Badger and the smallest fox sat down to join the others. Mrs. Fox said to her children, "I should like you to know that if it wasn't for your father, we should all be dead by now. Your father is a fantastic fox." Mr. Fox looked at his wife and she smiled. He loved her more than ever when she said things like that.
Brilliant. to a rather special moment in the ceremony when Judith and Donald are going to symbolically plant a tree to celebrate the union and tax a reminder of the vows that will shortly make with one another. Obviously, the tree is going to be planted again in somewhere far more permanent than today, but that tree is symbolising their hopes for the future as well as the beauty and wonder of life. Whether a tree grows to be tall and strong depends on the nurture it receives. No tree grows alone, so they need the soil, the sunshine, and the rain. So too, a marriage needs to be nourished, and Judith and Donald will be there for each other through all the seasons of their life together to support, love, and nurture each other. And ask you to come forward to sit. As you symbolically plant this tree, I'd like to read some words from the North American Indian saying. May you be strong as the oak, yet as flexible as the birch. May you stand as tall as the redwood, live gracefully as the willow, and may peace and prosperity surround you all your days. Judith and Donald recognise marriage as being a positive adventure. It's a relationship based on love, respect, and the determination to adjust to each other's feelings, whether in health or sickness, joy or sadness, ease or hardship. In marriage, they affirm their will to be together as partners and to support each other. It's a step forward that's been taken with confidence and with a clear understanding of the resolution and commitment that the path requires. And we're here today for three purposes. Firstly, we're here to affirm what Judith and Donald have already established. Also, looking ahead, we're here to wish them happiness and fulfillment in the future. But most importantly, we're here today to witness the vows they're about to exchange. As we've now reached the formal part of the marriage ceremony, could I ask you please, only if you're able, to stand for this part of the ceremony. Do you promise to enter into an epic journey with Donald? A journey that will take you to places that are wonderful and others that might be frightening, to create your own path together through the good times and the bad?
I do.
Do you promise to be committed to Donald's happiness, to always see the best in him and be attentive to his needs, to challenge him and comfort him and offer him a very big hug every morning?
I do.
Do you promise to be open and honest in all situations, being true to yourself and to each other, to respect and admire each other, demonstrating strength and certainty of your intentions to be together forever?
I do.
Do you promise to love him, honour him, and protect him for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all others, be faithful to him for as long as you both shall live?
I do.
And Judith, please repeat after me. I, Judith Riddle, in the presence of my family and friends,
I, Judith Riddle, in the presence of my family and friends,
accept you, Donald McVinney,
accept you, Donald McVinney,
to be my wedded husband.
to be my wedded husband.
And Donald, do you promise to enter into an epic journey with Judith, a journey that will take you to places that are wonderful and others that might be frightening, to create your own path together through the good times and the bad?
I do.
Do you promise to be committed to Judith's happiness, to always see the best in her and be attentive to her needs, to challenge her and comfort her and offer her a very big hug every morning?
I do.
Do you promise to be open and honest in all situations, being true to yourself and to each other, to respect and admire each other, demonstrating strength and certainty in your intentions to be together forever?
I do.
Do you promise to love her, honour her, and protect her, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all others, be faithful to her for as long as you both shall live?
I do.
And Donald, please repeat after me. I, Donald McVinney, in the presence of my family and friends,
I, Donald McVinney, in the presence of my family and friends,
accept you, Judith Riddle, to be my wedded wife.
accept you, Judith, to be my wife.
Can I ask the best man before? The wedding ring is a circle. It's got no beginning and no end. It symbolizes unity and infinity. The ring looks both inwards and outwards, an embrace that bonds without imprisoning, a support that reassures without restraint. It's a reminder of the giver and of promises made this day. It's an emblem that surrounds and caresses you. A wildly simple band may not be of great value in itself. It is made precious when you are wearing it. Judith, can I ask you now to place the ring on Donald's finger? Donald, I give you this ring.
Donald, I give you this ring
As a token of my enduring love for you.
as a token of my enduring love for you.
Donald, can I ask you please to turn Judith's hand? Place the ring on her finger. Judith, I give you this ring.
Judith, I give you this ring
As a token of my enduring love for you.
as a token of my enduring love for you.
As you've now both made a solemn and binding contract, and by virtue of these declarations made in my presence and the presence of both your witnesses and guests, I have much pleasure in pronouncing you husband and wife, and now you may kiss. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We now have one very short ceremony to perform before we sign the wedding chant. Drinking from a quain is a very ancient Scottish ceremony symbolic of trust, love and peace between two people. This act of sharing is a symbol of the life that you two will share together. And this cup represents the cup of life. In drinking from the same cup, you're symbolizing your commitment to share all that the future may bring. All the sweetness that life's cup may hold for you should be sweeter because you drink it together. And whatever bitterness that they contain should be less bitter because you share it together. Judith and Donald, as you now drink from your quain, we wish you joy and fulfillment in the years to come. Congratulations, Robert. Never had a bride be that before. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to sign the wedding schedule. While we do so, please be seated and listen to some music. We won't be long, I promise we'll be back with a photo opportunity very shortly. Thanks for listening. You will all have worked out that there are 3 songs in your song sheet. So we're now going to do the last one, and Don't Stop Believing My Journey. So I'm going to ask you all please to be on your feet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honour and my privilege to be the very first person ever to be able to introduce you to the brand new Mr. and Mrs. McVinnie.
fantastic day, Judith and Daune's wedding. I'd like to thank you all for coming to share in this special occasion. A special thank you to those who have travelled from abroad to be here. Even all the way from England. I'd firstly like to mention two people in particular who can't be with us today. One who passed away some years ago and one who's still with us but couldn't quite make the journey today. First, Judith's older brother Donald, also called Donald, who I'm sure would have been very proud of his wee sister today. The other is my mum, Judith's granny, who was equally proud and happy, but couldn't quite make it today. Now, I'm supposed to welcome Don and his mum into the family in this speech, but Don and Catherine are my family. They became my family a few years ago, and Catherine and I regularly sleep and snore together. I first met Don, I think it's 2000. I first met Don in 2005. He was introduced to me by Judith as a friend, and at that time Don had a shaved head, and I thought he looked a wee bit dodgy. I was quite unsure about it, but Judith, well, the first time I met him, she made me touch the baldness, assuring me that it felt like velvet, and it did kind of. It's a good way to get to meet you, Don. But once I got talking to him, realised he was a good egg. Coincidentally, I was there in Glasgow again around the time when romance blossomed between these friends. And the chemistry between them was palpable, absolutely palpable. Now I'd like to, at this point, read a wee quote from one of my favourite authors, Alexander McCall Smith. This is a little bit about love and his interpretation of love. Okay, it's from his book, Lovers and Trains. Love is nothing out of the ordinary, even if we think it is, even if we idealise it, celebrate it in poetry, sentimentalise it in coy valentines. Love happens to just about everyone. It's like measles or the diseases of childhood, as predictable as the losing of milk teeth or the breaking of a boy's voice. It may visit us at any time in our youth, but also when we are much older and we believe we are way beyond its reach, but we are not. It has been described as a toothache, a divine madness, an intoxication, metaphors that reflect the disturbing effect it has on our lives. It may bring surprise, joy, despair, and occasionally perfect happiness. Okay, Donald is a very lucky man to be marrying my daughter. Being Judith's mum is the most pleasurable, fulfilling and wonderful experience. From the minute she was born, I loved her absolutely. She is the best daughter in the world. She's always been an adventurer. From as soon as she could walk, she ran all day until she collapsed. Curled up, fell asleep just wherever she happened to be at that time, and we would find her in various places around the house, sound asleep. Becoming a big sister was another great adventure for Judith. She was totally devoted to her baby brother Jason from the first time she met him, and she still is to this day. When I tell people who don't know Judith about her, they think I make it all up. They know I love stories and fiction, and I think they think she's just another character from one of my books. I mean, by the time she was 18 years old, which she incidentally spent in Paris, she'd gone to university 1 year earlier, and she'd travelled to New Delhi with the Scottish Youth Parliament, and then before her 21st birthday she'd been in Barbados with the YMCA. It's just unbelievable globetrotting, but with Donald as well, they've been just about everywhere. Europe, Russia, Canada, USA, as we all know, because we're all sitting at all the different tables. She's been trekking in the Himalayas, and in between she found some time for several marathons, climbed Monroe's, and then she did a bungee jump just past the time, you know, in between the bungee jumps. And it was all right for a wee girl from Greenock with no silver spoon at all. Her most recent international adventures in Abu Dhabi made me realise that my girl is a strong, free-spirited woman, and it's going to take an equally strong, free-spirited man to hold her and to love her. And I truly believe that Dr. Doune is that man. Okay, finally, I have to say that the most endearing quality that Judith is blessed with is her generosity and her capability to care for others. As recently as last week, Judith explained to me that she felt of all the journeys she has undertaken so far, the journey to this wedding day has been the most testing. And I quote, "Dawn and me feel like we've really gone through a significant thing here, Mum. I mean, it's like a war. We feel like we could run a small country now after. Well, marriage is probably harder, darling, than running a small country. I am a war veteran myself." I wish you both a long and happy life together, and as cliched as it is, I'm going to say, may all your troubles be little ones. Let's raise our glasses to Donald and Judith, Mr. and Mrs. McVeigh. Okay, thank you.
I know this is a very special day for Judith, but I would just like to have a very, very, very lovely big round of applause for your groom.
Okay. Well, I guess I'd like to start by saying that my bonny wife and I... Let's do that again. My bonny wife and I... We'd first like to thank all of you for coming along and joining us today. You've made it an incredibly special day for us. It's almost having too good a time with it. We're thrilled to bits right now. It's pretty mad to think that we're now Mr. and Mrs. McVinney. Can't go for that one. Diane, Neil, Jason, I'd like to thank the three of you for welcoming me into your lives. Meeting your girlfriend's family for the first time is never a moment that a guy looks forward to, but you guys made it incredibly relaxing for me. Even stroking my baldy head. Now, as Diane was telling that story, I always thought at that moment that they had been thinking, wow, what a remarkable sensation this is to stroke a baldy head. And here tonight I find out that they were really thinking, oh, who's this Lady Vampire? Why is she making us stroke his baldy head? I'd like to thank you guys for persevering with me. I like to think it turned out alright. I'd also like to thank my own mum for raising such a fine specimen of a man. As much as I would like to take all the credit for being so amazing, it really I know I can take all your help for granted at times, so I just want to take this opportunity to say I appreciate everything you do and I love you, which is something I probably don't say enough. My mum first met Judith at the Celtic Rock Museum in Glasgow. And on the day, Judith was brutally hungover and had to repeatedly go to the toilet to be sick. The second time my mum met Judith actually was in the Arches in Glasgow. And Judith was brutally hungover and had to repeatedly go to the toilet to be sick. The third time my mum met Judith, we're not even going to go into that because you know how it ends already. But despite this most inopportune of introductions, I know my mum is absolutely delighted to accept Judith as a daughter she never had. At this point, do we have a little gift for the mums? Is that here? Whereabouts is that?
Am I stripping?
I'm not We have a little gift for you, but we'll present it to you guys later on, because I'm not too sure what it is right now. I think I was supposed to be on top of that, but clearly I'm not that organised. It's here somewhere. And now on to the beautiful bridespeople. I think that's what we're calling them, right?
Yeah.
Bridespeople. The bridespeople are looking particularly stunning today, especially Neil, wherever he is. Having a bridesman isn't the most conventional things to do at the wedding, and it comes with its own challenges, such as how to dress him. Judith and I tried to coax Neil into wearing a dress repeatedly, and around the time of the Eurovision Song Contest, when we had the bearded lady, he was almost there. We went along and we looked at dresses, but we didn't do a size big enough to fit his rugby playing thighs, really. And we went along and we looked at some like kilts and stuff, because really a kilt's just a big skirt. So we thought, oh, a kilt would be really good. We found this cracking one. It was like a mixture of like darker grey and lighter grey with yellow piping. We thought, oh, that'll match the groomsmen and the bridesmaid dresses perfectly. We went up to the lady and we said to her, oh, what's this amazing tartan you've got there? And she was like, oh, that's the SNP tartan. So thought that would be great. But anyway, we got there in the end, and I think we could all agree that the bridesmaids and bridesman are looking particularly fine this evening. Judith and I would like to thank the bridespeople for all their help in the past few weeks and months. Done an absolutely amazing job with us. We've been very demanding, and you guys have stood up to the test. So we'd like to propose a toast. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please raise your glasses to the bridespeople. Of course. Oh, I'll move it closer. Of course, Judith and I would also like to thank the groomsmen who have equally been there for us and helped us along the way over the past few weeks. And when it became apparent that I literally couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery, the groomsmen stepped up to the mark to organise a stag do that I would never remember. So at this point in proceedings, for a little in-joke with the stags, I would just like to have, after three, Mark, Murray, Murray, Mark, Murray, Murray, Murray! Hey, there we go. Someone probably wins it. I'd particularly like to thank my best man, Boom Boom, over here. I've known Boom Boom since I was at primary school, and I still to this day don't know why he's called Boom Boom. And my mum used to look after Boom at nursery school, and although then he wasn't called Boom, he was called Andrew.
What happened to you?
Well, she does describe him as a very quiet little boy, very pleasant, and I have no idea what happened, pal. Sorry. But Boom's incredible, and he's truly a special guy in more ways than one. And I would ask you all to humour him later on in his speech, because he might make up some fabled stories about me stripping off during one of our hardcore sets at New Year and Ross Rankins flat. Never happened. So anyway, there are several people that Judith and I would like to thank today, but truth be told, we've abused everyone's services in the making of this wedding. And I'd literally be thanking every one of you, so I would like to thank every single person in this room today, because you've really made this wedding something special for us. So now on to the cheesier part of my speech, where I start to get all soppy about this bonny lass down here. I won't go into the story about how we first met or how we decided to get married, because I think Brian already covered that superbly at the ceremony earlier on. But I would like to talk about how I fell in love with Judith. And I think the first time I realised that Judith was going to be the girl that I would spend the rest of my days with was during our first conversation about marriage. And Judith took me to a castle near our hometown of Tain, called Carbisdale Castle. It's a spectacular place, brilliant history, which I'm sure Judith will fill you in on later on. She's always very keen to talk about it. And while we were there, the topic of marriage came up, and Judith had said that she wanted to get married 3 times. Once for money, once for looks so she could have beautiful children, and once for love. So I came out with the cheesy line of saying, well, why don't you just marry me 3 times? So I like to think that this ceremony was for love, but I do look forward to seeing you all at the next one when I've started finally earning a wage. Where am I? I've got the boss my place. Oh dear God. But yeah, I've married Judith 1,000,000 times over, if that's what made her happy. You're my rock, Judith, and your happiness is my happiness. And when you're not around, I literally don't know what to do with myself. Honestly, don't know what to do. When Judith went away to Abu Dhabi, it gave me a sort of glimpse of what life would be like without Judith in it. And every morning was a proper chore to get up, and there was just this massive Judith-shaped void in my life. And life would revolve around 8 PM, because that was the time every night that we got to go into Skype to chat to each other. And I would see her little bonny face there, and I'd be like, oh, brilliant, it just made life so much easier. And we'd chat for hours, and then she'd fall asleep, and I would just leave her on Skype. It's a little bit creepy, I understand it. I would leave her on Skype there, just sleeping away, and it just made everything so much easier, it made me feel much more relaxed. So I would like to thank Skype for getting us there. But it's not just the fact that you make the bad times good that makes me love you so much. It's the fact that you make the good times even better. And just when I'm thinking to myself, wow, life can't get any better at a moment like this, I'll look over and Judith will crack that amazing wee smile, and my heart just melts. It's brilliant. And just when I'm thinking, brilliant, I'm really satisfied with everything I've done with my time, with my life and everything, she'll push me that little bit further and make me realise things that I just never realised before that I could do. And it's brilliant. Like when I first decided that I wanted to go and become a doctor, sort of anticipated a bit of a backlash. But Judith's response was simply, no, that's brilliant, go for it. And it's just so refreshing to have that in your life, it's so nice. And the feeling you give me, like, when you do that, it's tangible, and I don't know, when you're not around, like, things just aren't as much fun and as eventful. And I find it still really mad at the moment to like know that you're now Mrs. McVinney, which is pretty crazy. But it fills me with delight to call you my wife. And I love you very much, and I want to thank you for marrying me. I can't believe I managed to get through that without crying. That was really good. There we go. So, without further ado, I reluctantly hand my mic over to my best man. Go for it, sunshine.
Actually, I have to apologise, I'm not particularly well prepared for this. I thought I would just get up and drunkenly speak from the heart. I don't even have my bit of paper. I'm also a wee bit teary-eyed now as well. So, well, here's my wee bit of paper. Joy took me upstairs mid-meal and wrote down some things. Unfortunately, quite a lot of the stuff I was wanting to say has already been completely covered. I always thought that Catherine being me and my little sister's nursery teacher was like the loveliest thing in the world. I thought it was a really, really nice memory and being in primary school, but I moved away from primary school away from the Sunshine City. Does anybody appreciate what that means? And away from the Cross House to the big lights of Kilmarnock. And then later on moved back to the Grange Academy where her Donald was. But before that we were in youth theatre when we were little boys, which is pretty much just youth theatre. It's just an opportunity for boys to practice standing up and being silly and funny and quick-witted in front of girls. So I feel it's like so many people, we've just like learned how to just be cocky and foolish and not really care what other people think. So it's a really, really nice kind of way of being. But when we went back to school, oh sorry, I forgot to say, I was at a wedding, and do you remember Ian Furness?
I do.
He came up to me and was like, oh, I remember you came to primary school. But it's just nice that, how much of a difference it makes when you're, at primary school, and the people that you meet and the people that you respond to and get to see again. So yeah, when we were at school, we were quite into music. I really want to argue against you. I feel like it's perched against something. I'll just lean against you. So when we were in school, Dawn was surprisingly good at music. Did you win the music prize?
I did.
Yeah, so pretty much music's the best thing I'm good at doing, and he's better at it. Did you win the maths prize as well? No. Right, what did you get? B, C, S, Y, S? No, it's a speech, not I forgot where I was, what were we talking about? Music, right, so then we had our two bands, Pelham and the Senate, and to be honest, I don't think there's enough people here maybe from school who probably remember. I don't know, does anybody remember those two bands? Excellent. Which was the best one? Was it the one, like, the kind of white boys rapping over metal music one, or the one where Bobby Job here carried around his £2,000 bass in a bin bag? Well, I didn't want to say it, I didn't want to draw attention to it, but I thought, that's it, never. Where am I now? Sorry. She just threw me off with guilt. Right, what were we talking about? Being in school, where Donald's the hard-working man, a bit of a cheeky man as well, and a really nice story that I always really enjoyed. When we were sitting in Stuart McKnight's kitchen, and Donald was saying that he was going away to America for 6 months or so, was it? 6 months, a wee while, best part of a year? 4 months? So he was away for a wee while, and he'd lined up a wee job working in a surf shop. And I was like, what's that? I was like, oh no, I just phoned them up, just told them how good I am at surfing and how this retail experience and these kind of things, just blagging his way in. So he spent his 4 months in America, and I know you're looking at him and you probably know how svelte he is, but if you look around a few of these photos, when he came back from America, he was a meaty boy. I mean, really, there's a few, I think there's one hanging down here, was it? Just really greasy, really. So that was his kind of, it was a lovely time. But that was kind of the uni days. The uni days is when we had our wee radio show with Ross Watson, who was one of the bus people. He was the busman, so he was wearing the anorak of courage, what did you call it? The cagoule of responsibility. And we would basically just sit and do some city 2 in the morning on a Friday night, and it was the most ridiculous time. And nobody was listening. It was just us having a great laugh. Like probably putting so much effort into it, and then to the point where we stopped putting effort into it, we didn't have time, so we were just us sitting, and once we did it's called Try Life, Try Harder, and we had one episode which was Try Life, Try Harder Talk Special, when Ross couldn't make it, and neither me or Don could really be bothered putting together a set, so we just sat and chatted. So we didn't talk to each other for a week, and just sat. It was an hour-long discussion of just us talking about our day and what we've been up to over the weeks, and it was really, really nice. It was definitely effective as a thing to do, but that was a really good laugh. But uni time, I thought I had something more to say about uni. Let me just do a wee second here. I don't think I do. Right, or maybe I thought I maybe did and it wasn't that funny or interesting. Anyway, so Donald graduated from university with a degree in 100 different subjects, and mainly was it film studies, media studies? Actually, the thing is, I was kind of thinking about making a wee, media studies film joke, then I realised that probably half the people here work in film and media. Yeah, we're really successful, la la la. Film media studies is no real degree. So anyway, he used his degree to go and work for Soma, which is Scotland's #1 techno and house label. I'm sure you're all aware. And around that time, I was defending the nation, working for the Ministry of Defence. We happened to be just down the street from each other, so we would meet at lunchtime, and it was just a really, really, really lovely period of my life, because I had this ridiculous job. It was just nonsense, and he had really, in reflection, if you remove it, a fairly ridiculous job, like production manager of all this stuff going on, and just kicking about all these fantastic club nights. And this is quite a nice wee story that I always enjoyed. I don't know, is Ali here? I wasn't sure if he was here. So pretty much there was one time he was putting down names and guest lists and things, and then he said, it's I can't remember the story now. Ali Arnott had wanted a guest list place, and then she couldn't make it, and we're going down, and I was like, I don't know who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, will it be Ross coming or will it be Barbara coming? That's just 2 people who were sitting at my table, that's why I've got that in my head. Will it be Ross or Barbara? And I was like, well, it doesn't really matter, because Ali's a universally unisexual name, so we just use it. And then it was also a really enjoyable wee joke that you just stick down Ali Arnott. And I booked one of the beds in here tonight, even though I was thinking at the time, I thought, that's quite nice. A wee Ali Arnott, it makes sense, kind of thing. So, story hasn't worked as well as I thought it would. That's fine. It's me, I'm probably enjoying more than anybody else, realistically. So anyway, when I was working at the Ministry of Defence, this is a story I've actually not fact-checked, and I'm pretty sure it's you two, so I can't remember if it's somebody else. So we'll just go with it and just pretend it's you guys in case it's not, right? Well, you're on holiday and then send me a postcard?
Yeah.
Right, that's okay, right? So you're on holiday in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, even better. So they're on holiday in New York, and bear in mind, it's been a difficult time for our country over the last 10 years or so. And there was a lot of problems, I'm sure you know, with internal and external threats and pressures. And so these jokers sent me a postcard from New York with like, hey, the Twin Towers. Addressed to, what's it like, Boom Boom, MOD building, Argyle Street, right? It's called Kentucky House, it was in Brown Street, right? And no postcode is Glasgow. This thing turns up on my desk, and it's like, oh dear. It's obviously come through some kind of security thing, and they're just like, just let it go through and just. So those were the heavy days. Because this is screwed up into a sweaty mess now. I'm going to move on now to. Oh, I thought this was going to be really short. Someone said, just go up and talk, just don't ramble on. So there we go. So, weddings. I've been to about 400 weddings. That's not a joke, that's just the truth. Because I'm playing a wedding band. And as a result of being at all those weddings, I would miss out on things on Saturday and Friday nights and things on the weekend. Like I missed out on Donald's birthday trip to Mull, which looked absolutely fantastic, it was amazing. And quite a lot of other wee things I've missed out on or turned up late. But I have been to a bunch of absolutely brilliant parties that you guys have organised and hosted. And I assume that most people here have been to one of their parties, either previously or Main Street. Honestly, just so much fun, and a wee bit lost. I had a kind of rough order of things that would flow, but I'm just going to say this now because I thought about it. But I've made so many really, really good friends there. You know, people like Judith's friends who didn't know, well, Claire to an extent, I suppose, with the Donald, but the two Claires and like Rachel and people like that. It's just had a really lovely time. And Neil, just seeing faces and thinking, yeah, you're down. We're genuinely really, really wonderful people who are proper friends who like I would consider like, you know, really good friends, not just people that you have a really good laugh at a party, and also met lots of people who I don't really see enough to properly call them friends, but they're absolutely fantastic people. And you know, but not in a bad way, just in a genuine, like, it's just fantastic fun. You know, like all the English lot as well, when they would come up and they're just like so much fun. Are you still steaming, Lucy? Who was on the bus? Who was on the bus on the way back? Shh, talking. Who was? I'm actually a bit offended that when I asked who was on the bus, everyone was like, oh yeah, I was on the bus, mate, it was alright. Who was on the bus? That was killing me after that. That's not what I better put in some effort before the speech. So Lucy wasn't allowed any Prosecco because she was too
I didn't want any, just FYI.
Oh, I love your voice so much. You're just talking for me later on. To say things in my ear like, you know, wee bang booth, I'm livable so you don't mind too much. Sorry, Joe. So, at these parties, obviously, some of these parties were pretty hardcore. See? Don't know. Right, I've totally lost my gist here. I feel like to do a wee rap or something. So, Donald and I used to do an amazing hardcore duo, which was pretty much the best bit of music that I've ever done in my life, really. And our very first one was our very first one was my little sister's birthday, but it was a bit of a madcap maniac time. The first proper one that was really, really good was for Judith's 21st, and I was late because I'm late, and I was coming up the stairs, and Diane, that was the first time I met you, and she came downstairs and she was like, oh, and a lovely wee voice, oh, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, yes, I am. But honestly, Diane, you're such a wonderful person. Like genuinely, like when Diane was kicking about in Glasgow, coming up and down before she moved down south, we spent an awful lot of time together, and she just is a really, really, really fun person, and she's so much like Judith. It's really, really nice. Like they're both just wee maddies. I'd say anything where Judith would be more kind of go, oh, a wee bit kind of concerned about something. Diane's a bit more like, oh, yeah, just get over it, and it's just a real thing. I was really enjoying watching your speech. It just made me feel really, really happy, and I'm glad you're happy. It was nice to see you. Sorry about losing you yesterday, pretending that everything was lost for the wedding. Sorry for doing the fingers at you at the bus as well. I was really quite drunk at the time. Oh, that's good. I was just saying, hey, two, a couple, make one. Spice Girls. That would be a nice one for the bus, actually, wouldn't it? For the pipes. That was absolutely brilliant fun. Anyway, I was going to talk about a bunch of different parties, but I'm not going to bother. There's too much blah 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 blah. Played New Year. That was really, really good. That was another thing. I was going to make a joke about New Year. Donald getting naked and being too drunk to remember the set that I'd stayed up for 36 hours making for. I felt like I had the dentist chair and hugged my knee in the morning, and I was like, oh yeah, just a wee, and I totally fell asleep with my wee dental dam thing going on. And everyone was like, oh well, yes, I think we need a few coffees before this evening's festivities. And that was a really cracking thing. So what? You've had your chance. I've still got 10 parties, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. I had a good time at New Year. 2 other entire Huntmany parties came to the party at Ross's house so they could see us play, and it was a proper fire hazard, like absolutely rammed, and it was really, really, really good fun, and that was a lovely wee time we came together. But the last gig that we did was for Joe. for Joy's 21st, which is my girlfriend Joy. And I just thought it was a nice wee thing, the way it was kind of like bookended, like properly like our two girlfriends' 21st. It was a really nice, 5 years on, my girlfriend's 21st. So that's that's a really dark look that just got there. I don't know what we say now. I'd actually written down ABBA because I had a wee joke that was going to say we were moving on to the new page of our lives, and people quite often say to us, are you going to do some sets later on? And we said, no, because it was nice at the time. And the guys from ABBA were offered $1 million to reform and do a tour of like 100 around the world. And they were just like, do you know what? We don't want to do it because it was amazing and ABBA was amazing at the time. There's no need for us to do that. We don't need the money, and it was just a good thing that we don't want to spoil it. And that's kind of like how I feel. And I was kind of like, not saying not saying ABBA is as good as us. So that was kind of the joke. So I told you the joke, then got it wrong. So anyway, moving on to real life, and this is the part where I actually could have. These are the things that I thought you're supposed to say in the best man speech. This is stuff I kind of actually genuinely wanted to say, is that the kind of new life of moving on to our things and talking about Doune becoming a doctor and everything. And he just is such an amazing guy at getting things done. Like, he's a proper, genuine, out-and-out success in so many aspects of his life. And it's always a thing. And I've actually, to be perfectly honest, I've been really, really jealous of him for years and years and years. And I genuinely, not in a kind of ridiculous, silly way, but actually genuinely kind of, it makes me almost feel a wee bit bad sometimes because he just does things so well. And I made a wee list of things that were like stuff he's in, and I was like, all these trips around the world and all the stuff he's done, including winning a trip to Vietnam and a scratch card. Okay, nice one. I'd also written, when I was scripting this, I said, right, okay, mums and dads, it's a wee hot word, because she is a proper darling, is she not? Very, very pretty. And his height. He's so tall, he's got lovely hands, really nice hands, absolutely gorgeous skin. He's just so good at cooking and so good at so many things. And as I said, like, beat me at my own game doing music. And he's just so focused on everything he does. And when Judith was away in the UAE doing all her adventures and shenanigans over there, and Donald came to stay for us for a wee while. And it was then that I just, I really got to properly understand how much of a positive influence he was on me. So it wasn't just the fact that I was jealous of him, he was amazing, but because him being amazing just pulled me up so much. And even just like getting up in the morning and stuff like that was absolutely fantastic. And you like really pushed me forwards. And excuse me, sorry, I'm actually tears because you get me up a bed and you make me nice food and then we study together. That's pretty much what it boils down to. But genuinely, just my life wasn't me sitting about, because Joy works away, also far east, 50 miles away. Like, just be bumping around the house by myself, just having you there, it was just really, really, really nice having such an absolutely focused guy who just gets everything done. And even today, I've been for weeks and weeks and weeks stressed about a wedding. I've done nothing. Mark was the one who organised the stag do and stuff like that. And Donald's just totally chilled out, and he phoned the other day to say something, and he just sent me a wee text saying about a bunch of things needed done, and Joy said, you need to, it doesn't really matter, because a lot of the stuff that will just be getting done, you just need to calm him down and make sure everything's okay, and that's your job. It's not your job necessarily to sort the stuff out, but just he's getting, nervous because it's a few days' time. He was absolutely just like, no, it's just stuff that he's done, and I was on the phone all being like, okay, right, well, I've not really started writing a speech, and I've not really done this, and I'm kind of worried about that, and I've not got my brown shoes yet, no. And he's just such a chilled out, like, completely relaxed guy, and I just think he's really, really nice. So I've now totally distracted because I did have a lovely thing to say, and I've written gallivanting around the UAE. But he's a good influence on me, right? This is where it starts getting speechy, right? Give us 2 seconds. So he's a good influence on me, right? As he also is a good influence on Judith. As Joy is a good influence on me, and she brings me up and makes me feel happy and does great things, in the same way that Judith is a good influence on Donald, and you can see them both, properly. If you know them both, as opposed to maybe know one or the other, you can see them properly, like, just spark up a wee bit and just change their kind of behaviour and their awareness of what's going on around them when they're around each other. And it's a really, really lovely thing to see because they genuinely are suited. Like, they don't do that thing a lot of couples do where they change maybe a wee bit when their partner comes along and they're different when they're different people. They just like are a more intense and more gratifying version, in my eyes, version of themselves when the other one's there, which I think is really, really wonderful. But I was just thinking that they obviously, you know, they're influenced on each other, but the thing is that it's not just the two of them who have made them the people they are, because what, 8 years you've been out for? And it's like, that's obviously a really long time, but it's all the people that are here as well who have influenced them, you know, and you've made them the people they are. So whether like the, you know, the support you give them, your family's bringing them up and all that kind of thing, you know, the way the good times you've had with them and the bad things, you know, you've probably been a bad influence, but you've changed their character. You know, giving them the support and the experiences that you've shared and the friendship and all the different kind of things you've done together have made them the people they are, because we all change over a decade completely. You've made them like this proper little perfect match for each other. It was lovely when the registrar Brian was speaking and he was saying about there's like eyes and cheeky smiles and all that kind of thing in your vows, and that's what I was thinking. It's like totally, they've both got the same just big, mad, lovely eyes all the time, so filled with enthusiasm, and these really, really lovely smiles when everything goes on, and just like lovely children, which is a really good thing, and I think it's really nice. So, I feel a wee bit like I'm just going a wee bit mad at the end there, but that's all I want to say, is that you should all be very, very proud of yourselves as well, because this is much your wedding. You know, people say weddings are for the mothers, not necessarily for the bride and groom, but it's for all you guys too, because this here is a celebration of all your effort. You know, if there's plenty of people in this room, if you took half a dozen away, this wouldn't have happened, because they wouldn't be the people that they are today if it wasn't for you. So I was going to like raise a toast. Is that the kind of thing you do at the end of that kind of stuff? Everyone raise a toast.